Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and seen a woman who is trying to disappear? Not because you no longer love beauty, not because you have given up on taking care of yourself, but simply because the way you dress each day is doing it for you. A dark-colored top with a high neckline, a straight dress with no curves, a makeup look that is almost non-existent. All of it feels like it's whispering something you don't dare say out loud. I don't want anyone to pay attention to me anymore. You might smile gently and say, I just pick whatever feels comfortable. But do you remember when was the last time someone really looked at you? For a long moment. Looked at you as if the moment you walked into a room, something shifted. The space became lighter, warmer, more captivating. I once witnessed a woman around 60 walk into a class reunion. She was neatly dressed, modest, wearing a long skirt down to her ankles, a dark blouse, her hair tied back. Nothing was wrong, but nothing stood out either. She walked past the classmates she had studied with back in high school. They didn't recognize her. Even when she smiled and raised her hand to greet them first, the person in front of her paused, looked closely, and then said, "Oh my God, it's you." Not because she had aged, not because she had changed too much, but because everything she had on, from the color to the fabric to the cut, made her blend into the background of a crowded room. And the saddest thing was, she had already gotten used to it. Used to no one noticing what she wore. Used to not being the center of any gaze. Used to the belief that after the age of 55, women should be simple, modest, proper, and not too noticeable anymore. But have you ever wondered, is that really what you want? Or is it just a quiet kind of resignation, disguised with the gentler name of being realistic? I'm not saying you have to dress younger or chase after fashion trends or try to look attractive in a way that feels forced. I just want to invite you to look back at yourself, to see if maybe it's the fabric you wear every day, the colors you believe are safe, the silhouettes you think are appropriate for your age, that are actually making you fade, not only in other people's eyes, but in your own sense of self. Maybe what's slowly making you feel invisible isn't aging, but the clothes that are helping you hide away, a fabric that's too stiff, a color that's too cold, a cut that's too far removed from your natural softness, and sometimes just one small change. A soft silk blouse instead of something thick, a warm beige instead of a cold gray, is enough for others to look at you again and for you to look at yourself again with a very different feeling. Today, I won't talk about fashion in terms of trends. I just want to talk about gentle things, like how a piece of fabric can calm your whole spirit, how a certain color can bring a sparkle back to your eyes, and how one small choice can bring back one big feeling that you are still yourself, and you are still beautiful in your own way. Soft fabrics, the secret to letting your body breathe and feel light again. After 55, our bodies start to change in ways that are not always easy to accept. The skin no longer holds the same elasticity. The contours of the body, the waist, the shoulders, the arms, become softer, rounder. Some may call that the sign of aging, but I believe it is the beauty of being alive. It is the mark of everything you've been through. The births you've given, the care you've provided, the roles you've embraced wholeheartedly. The issue is not your body. It's what you choose to wear, whether it truly understands your body or not. Many women, after 50, tend to choose thick, structured fabrics, thinking they will help hide the figure. But in reality, the stiffer the fabric, the more it highlights the very things you want to conceal. Stiff fabric doesn't know how to be gentle. It presses against your body in a rigid way, as if forcing you to stand up straight to be proper, to shrink yourself into a fixed mold. Soft fabrics, on the other hand, are something completely different. They don't hide, but they also don't expose. They know how to hold you, without ever squeezing you. They move with your body, not against it. I still vividly remember a woman around 60 at a wedding I once attended. She wasn't wearing anything revealing, just a long dress brushing her ankles in a deep wine color with 3/4 length sleeves. But the fabric, that soft, flowing chiffon, made her stand out more than anyone else in the room. Not because she was trying to get attention, but because with every step she took, every gentle turn of her shoulder, her dress created a movement so graceful. It felt like the very air around her softened to the rhythm of her gown. And you know what? That is a kind of allure that needs no words. The kind that makes people watch without understanding why. And yet they watch. Why is that? Because soft fabric is like an autumn breeze. It doesn't scream for attention, it doesn't strike the eye, but it awakens something deeply instinctive in the heart. Gentleness, fluidity, a softness that comes from a woman who no longer needs to prove anything, yet still makes others want to come just a little closer. I once tried on 2 blouses, differing only in fabric. One was thick linen with a stiff silhouette. I thought it would help me look tidy and poised, but after just a few minutes, I felt heavy, rigid, as if I had to constantly hold a posture. The other was a soft ivory silk blouse, loose and lightly draping. I walked and suddenly felt like I was floating. It was as if my shoulders had been set free, my waist unbound, and even my footsteps had become lighter. I didn't need anyone to tell me I looked pretty, but in that moment, looking at myself in the mirror, I smiled and thought, yes, I still have grace. You may not believe it, but just a simple change in fabric can transform how you walk, how you sit, how you see yourself, and how others see you too. Because fabric is not just something that covers the body. It's how you send a message to the world. This is who I am, and I cherish the gentleness within me. Warm tones, softening your skin, brightening your eyes, and warming the gaze of those around you. Color can be the thing that makes someone look at you just a moment longer, or it can make them glance right past you as if you were never there. And after 55, when our skin becomes thinner, paler, and the features on our face lose some of their youthful glow, color choice becomes even more important. But sadly, many women choose colors out of fear. Fear of standing out, fear of being looked at, fear of trying too hard. So they go for black charcoal gray or cool navy, safe, quiet, easy to match tones that also make you vanish from anyone's attention. I used to think black was the answer, that it made me look slimmer, more composed, more modest. But one day, by pure chance, I tried on a soft blush beige blouse. I was in a small boutique, and the shopkeeper gently suggested, try this one. It flatters fair skin more. I tried it on, and I couldn't believe it. My face lit up. No blush, no bold lipstick, just that one warm tone, and suddenly my eyes looked warmer. My skin seemed more alive, and my smile felt easier. From that day on, I started paying more attention to the colors I wore. And I realized something very clearly. Warm tones don't make you look older. They make you feel more approachable and deeper. Warm beige, dusty, rose burnt orange, caramel, chestnut brown. All these colors feel like a gentle whisper meant only for mature women. You don't have to be cold to be respected. You just have to be warm, in every sense of the word. I once saw a friend of mine, in her early 60s, wearing a terracotta blouse, a light brown skirt, and a hint of peach pink lipstick. Nothing extravagant or expensive. But you know what? In that party, she was the one who made everyone smile when she walked in. Not because she was stunning, but because she was warm. She was like an October afternoon, soft, rich, and quietly inviting. When chosen right color doesn't just brighten your skin, it brightens your entire presence. A woman in warm colors with a gentle smile and graceful energy doesn't need to say much. The light that radiates from her face, a light turned on by the right shade, speaks for her. And the most beautiful part, you don't need to change who you are. You just need to change the color you choose to wear tomorrow. Soft fabric plus warm tones, the secret formula that makes people want to come closer. Soft fabric can make you feel lighter. Warm tones can soften the gaze of those around you. But when you combine the two, a blouse as gentle as a morning breeze and a color warm enough to light up your face, something shifts. Not just in your appearance, but in the entire atmosphere surrounding you. I once saw a woman, probably in her early 60s, during a quiet weekend coffee outing. She wore a caramel-colored silk midi dress. Her hair was tied in a low bun. No foundation, no flashy accessories, just a simple pair of earrings. Nothing revealing, nothing loud. And yet the moment she entered, it was as if a soft light followed her in. The room seemed to pause. People mid-conversation looked up, not with awe, but with quiet respect. That silent admiration you cannot fake. I was sitting across the room, but I could not look away. And then I realized that was the power of pairing. The soft fabric let her body move like a slow melody, while that caramel glow turned every gesture, even just the glance of her eyes, into something oddly warm and magnetic. At 60, allure no longer comes from short skirts or bold lipstick. It radiates from the woman who knows exactly who she is and chooses to honor the gentleness within. Maybe it is a dusty pink blouse that drapes softly over rounded shoulders, or a thin terracotta scarf gently resting at your collarbone, or a pleated skirt that falls naturally without needing structure to be graceful. None of it needs to be expensive. But when you put it on, you feel one very clear thing. Your body is no longer fighting. It is being cared for. And when you feel cherished in your own movements, others will see that too. Maybe you have forgotten what that feels like. The feeling of walking without pulling at your dress or adjusting your top. Wearing a color that makes your skin glow, makes your eyes sparkle again. And when you smile, it is not forced. It just happens. Because you feel beautiful. Not like you did at 30, but like a deeper, more soulful version of that. You know, there are days I do not wear makeup, but I wear a loose silk blouse in warm, dusty rose. And just because of that blouse, I walk a little slower, stand a little taller, and smile a little more. Not to impress anyone, but because I feel like myself again. Soft, free, and beautiful. In a quiet, unforgettable way. I remember once during a quiet family dinner, a man in his 30s looked at his mother for a long moment and softly said, "Mom, you look different today. You look beautiful." The room fell silent. That mother, in her 60s with silver threads in her hair and fine lines around her eyes, was simply wearing a soft silk blouse in a warm beige pink tone. The collar was buttoned up, no makeup, just a little lip balm. But the fabric flowed gently, not tight, not loud, just quietly elegant. And that color, it was like a soft sunset, warm enough to keep her inner light from being dimmed by the passing years. She smiled, surprised. She said nothing, but her eyes shimmered. Maybe it had been a long time since she heard a compliment meant for her. Maybe even she had forgotten that she could still make someone pause, just to admire her. Not because she was trying, but simply because she was present. And I realized the beauty of that moment had nothing to do with luxury or expensive clothes. It came from one simple thing. She allowed herself to feel beautiful again. Not young again, but beautiful, in the way only a woman can be after she has passed through spring and is now living fully in her own autumn. There is a kind of allure that has nothing to do with your body. It lives in the way you carry yourself. A steady gaze, a gentle smile, a posture that stands tall, not with arrogance, but with grace. And what brings all that to life is just a little softness in the fabric, a little warmth in the color, and a little courage to choose yourself again. I know, after a certain age, we are taught to step aside, to make room, to dress appropriately and stop seeking attention. But who made that rule? Who said you cannot wear peach? Who said you cannot choose flowing silk or walk into a room and make heads turn? Not because you tried, but because the energy you carry is simply too soft, too graceful to ignore. You have spent years caring for others, and somewhere along the way, maybe you forgot that you once had a distinct sense of style, that you once had a true love for beauty, that once your eyes would light up at the sight of a delicate blouse dancing in the wind. And if you are reading this today, I just want to remind you of something simple. You do not need anyone's permission to return to your own elegance. You just need to say yes to yourself. Yes, I still deserve to dress beautifully. Yes, I have every right to wear a color that lights up my face. Yes, I can walk into a room like a slow, tender melody, the kind no one skips past. Because you are not just a woman in her 60s. You are an entire story. You are the most beautiful season of life, autumn in full bloom. And what you wear, that is how you tell your story. Through light, through softness, through warmth, and through a quiet confidence that time will never be able to take away. So we have just walked through a gentle journey, one that began with a soft blouse, a warm tone, and ended with something far more powerful. You can still be captivating, without trying too hard. All it takes is choosing what makes you feel comfortable, light, and truly yourself. 60 is not the age to start hiding. It is the age when you finally have the wisdom to know. True allure does not come from trying to look young again. It comes from knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and befriending the beauty that is already yours. If this video made you smile, even just a little, or reminded you of a piece of clothing you once loved deeply, leave me a comment. Tell me about the outfit that made you feel your most beautiful, in your own way. And if you want to keep walking this path with me, a journey back to confidence, elegance, and presence at this stage of life, tap follow, hit the heart, or share this video with a woman you love. Because sometimes just a soft-colored blouse is all it takes to feel radiant again.